Oh, 2 pillows. Okay.
I know. Get comfy. All right.
Yay.
Hello, hello.
I'm nervous.
Don't be
Be excited.
excited. You're just talking to us.
And the millions.
In the million.
Oh, yeah.
And millions of our fans.
I think by the time this airs, we'll have 10 followers. Just kidding.
Is this going on Spotify or what?
It's going to go Spotify, anywhere where you listen
Apple.
to podcasts, and then we'll put on YouTube,
Oh, good.
and then we'll have an Instagram and a TikTok.
Nice.
Ooh, are we going to do TikTok dances?
No.
I think you guys should.
I think we should.
You want to do? Dan?
Yeah.
I want to do a TikTok dance.
Okay, I'll kick your ass.
I will be officially the oldest person on TikTok.
That's
but
not true at all.
Is it not true?
There's several grandmas on TikTok.
Oh, yeah, there
Why
are.
do you have to go from me to grandma? Are there some steps in between, please?
I'm just saying, if you're talking about the oldest people on TikTok, it
Okay.
ain't you.
All right, cool. I'm in. Let's go.
You think you have people sliding into your DMs on Instagram? Wait till you hit the TikToks.
Are they different?
I don't know.
I'm not on TikTok.
I'm not either.
I don't know. I just feel like people are more like savage.
Oh.
More for, I don't know.
It's like from Bumble to Tinder.
Let's see. I've seen some things on the gram, some requests that made me lock my doors.
You should always keep your doors locked.
They-
You live in Chicago.
That's true.
All right. Do either of you guys have $1 on you?
Like folding money?
Yeah, just $1.
I do, but it's not like on my
Hold on, let me see.
Double check, Terrence.
Do I have $1?
Because if you don't, I am going to have to call the police on you. Because it is illegal in Illinois to carry less than $1 on you at any given time.
What?
Wait, seriously? Yeah. Are they counting?
According to this website that I found.
I did not learn that in law school.
I think we I think we need to Snopes this to make sure this is real.
Snopes? What's Snopes?
I
Okay,
have
you're good.
$1 gross. Snopes is the website that you can go to that tells you if things are true or false.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, we're going to have to fact check some of this because I honestly just Google weird Illinois laws.
I mean, there are some. I've read articles about
am I
stupid
getting a
laws.
quiz on these?
Exactly. If you don't know, that's a problem. But I've seen some random articles about different states that have dumb laws, and I'm like, okay, that some of these are stupid, but because they're just so old and no one's ever changed
Yeah.
them, and clearly no one enforces them. But
Isn't there one like you can't have a donkey in your bathtub or something?
well, we learned last week that you can bury a body in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, do you know anything about that?
No idea.
That you can bury a body in your backyard legally?
Oh, I have no
Probably
idea.
not murder that said person, but if someone dies.
I have no idea.
Okay, well, you're no help at all.
I mean, you do estate planning, so I feel like that's part of the estate.
I've never got the request to bury in the backyard, but there are some requests
Oh my
for
God.
remains for sure.
Okay, I can't wait.
Yep.
On
Okay,
that note,
put a pin in that one. I need
Yeah.
to know about these.
absolutely. On that note, welcome to another episode of the Real Tea Chicago podcast. I'm Jamie,
And I'm Terrence.
and we are here to share with you some of the most interesting stories in Chicago real estate. And if you like what you hear, please don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and all of that good stuff. And our guest today is Melissa Tannehill. She is a fabulous attorney who owns her own firm. She represents clients in real estate transactions. She does business planning and also estate planning.
Ooh, that was a great intro. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Well deserved.
Thank you, guys.
And before you tell us your 2 truths and a lie, we have one question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather be invisible or fly?
Ooh, definitely fly.
One day, someone is going to agree with me.
Terrence has been the only invisible so far.
Yeah.
I kind of just feel like I might see some things I don't want to see. If you fly, you just fly right out of there real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to not be seen.
You cannot be seen. I mean, you could walk down the street and not talk to people, but
But I'm seen.
But why? It doesn't matter. Just fly. Just fly over. Hey, Terrence, come on over. And you're like, no problem. See you in 30 seconds.
But, when it's cold outside,
Yeah,
Just
that would
fly
suck.
right to Greece.
that's, right?
Okay, fair point.
Probably die before I got there. Invisible all day.
All right.
Then I can sneak onto a flight to Greece.
Yeah, that's true too.
See?
Assuming that there's an empty seat.
I'm invisible. You just hold on.
You
And hope the
are-
door doesn't blow off like it did for that one flight. But,
Yeah. And you're not a small person. It's not like you could just hide on a plane and expect no one to run into you.
Right, like, are you translucent? Can people just go
Ooh.
right through you?
no, that's
No.
true. I'm just invisible.
Just invisible.
Okay.
Well, then I'll sneak into first class. It'll be a really big plane.
All
I'm
right.
invisible.
You're banking on a lot of things here, but I do like where that's going.
Thank
That's
you.
been your best argument yet.
Thank you.
So are all your clothes invisible? Or are they just invisible once you put them on?
Oh,
or are
that's
you
a
just
good
I'm
question.
probably
naked
naked.
all the time?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Depends on which comic book character I'm going to be. Some are naked, some their clothes become invisible because when they become uninvisible, boom, the clothes pop back up. I'm going to hope with the latter so that if it's somewhere chilly, I have a coat. I don't want to be just like a coat walking down the street and people. That'll
yeah,
be a little
that'd
weird.
be fucking weird.
So I'm hoping my clothes also just go away.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hear your 2 truths and a lie. Do you remember them?
I don't remember them. I thought them out and I sent them to you.
Okay, hold on. Give me 2 seconds.
My truths and a lie. Number 1, I've never had a home address with a zip code that did not start with 606.
Okay.
You guys know why I put that, right?
No idea.
Okay.
Keep going.
Well, but 606 is just
Yes,
Chicago.
it's Chicago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Chicago proper. Number 2, in a previous profession of mine, I sold cars. And number 3, I speak 3 languages fluently.
Okay.
I'm ready.
You want to go first? You want me to?
Ladies first.
Okay, my guess is the 606 is a lie because I'm fairly certain you live in the suburbs. And I could be wrong.
Am I disclosing or no? Or am I waiting for Terrence?
I concur. I think that is the lie because I really hope that you used to be a used car salesperson.
I know, that too.
And I want to know what languages you speak.
Okay.
So I'm going with the 606 is the lie.
Okay. So I'll tell you guys what languages I speak.
Okay.
It's English
Uh-huh.
and kind of Spanish. Damn it. I can get around in a foreign country in Spanish, and that's about it.
Okay.
So 606 has always been my zip code. Yeah, I live in Chicago. I was born and raised in Chicago.
What
and never
neighborhood?
left Chicago. So I live in Gladstone Park, which is right next to Jefferson Park, between like Norwood Park and Jefferson Park.
Thank you.
Little
I've
small
never
area.
heard of Gladstone Park.
Yeah, one of those northwest side
Okay.
areas up there.
Resurrection High School?
Resurrection High School was my high school that I went to. Yeah. How do you know this?
I had friends that lived in the parks.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's the only high school that any of them ever went to.
Yep. I grew up not far from there either, in the Edgebrook-Sauganash area. And then I lived in the South Loop. And that was, oh, you know what? I did live in Wrigleyville for a good 8 months. It's not my favorite.
I can't picture you in Wrigleyville.
Exactly.
Okay. Did you enjoy all of what Wrigleyville has to offer?
You know what? No, I really didn't, because after taking the red light at time too many, I was like, I gotta go.
Okay.
So,
All right.
but yes, I've always lived in Chicago proper. Never even in the burbs.
Wow.
Okay, so then where did you sell cars?
Please, do tell.
So I did sell cars briefly. I actually had a job at a Chevy dealership very young. I was still in high school, so I was probably like 16. And I was the front desk person, and then I slowly graduated to different other tasks. And then I actually sold cars for a brief time.
Wow.
Before I did mortgages. It was actually a pretty good transition from car sales to mortgages.
Yeah.
Okay.
No offense, Terrence.
Yeah, it's fine. That's what we do. We peddle those mortgages.
But listen, if you can sell a Chevy Cavalier, you can definitely sell a mortgage.
Oh.
New challenge for Terrence. We're taking you to a used car dealership and
I
you have
will-
to sell cars.
I will sell the shit out of a Chevy Cavalier. Easy. I miss those.
I don't even know if they still make them.
They don't.
They don't.
They don't. They haven't made
So
them in
you gotta
years.
find one first and then sell it.
Good deal. Oh, that really?
Yeah. So that was my that was actually probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. Not just like selling cars, but that whole I was at that dealership for a long time. But that was like the entry into like learning the financial world, credit.
Oh, yeah, that's a big lesson on credit.
Yeah, learning how to like work with people, having clients, all of that stuff. So starting young from there, I still to this day say that that was probably the best education I received anywhere, including law school. I'm just kidding. Law school was great, but
You got real world experience dealing with actual
experience was
people. Wow.
yeah.
So did you have to, okay, tell the truth about car sales. Mm-hmm. They make their money on the financing and the warranties.
Well, yeah, it was a little bit different. This was like during the subprime era. So things were much, much different than they are now.
Can you explain what the subprime era is for some of us that might not
for
know?
some of us youngsters. This was like, people with less than perfect credit that were trying to finance was considered subprime. So that was back in like 2006, 2007, when mortgages were also being subprimed.
Stated income.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm following.
Yep. So it was quite the experience. But yeah, I mean that was like the whole piece that was probably the best experience because that was like the credit reporting piece and like understanding the importance of credit. And when you're 18 years old looking at that stuff, you're like, oh, I better keep my act together to get one shot, and that's really it. So
Not much has changed in the auto industry.
yeah,
They pull credit, but they ask you how much money you make.
Okay.
Never had to give a pay stub.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what?
Did
When
you
I
have to
bought
give a
my
pay stub?
car, I don't think I did.
No.
Whoa.
They pulled credit. How much money do you make, Terrence? Okay, cool. Here's your car.
Now that you say that,
Yeah.
I don't think I was asked any
So just
proof
imagine
of
that,
income.
but a mortgage.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
So was your first car a Chevy?
No, it was actually Honda. Hondas were my jam when I was younger. They were good. They were good on gas. They last a while. So, yeah.
I know nothing about cars. So.
I always wanted a Honda Accord.
I had a couple Honda Accords.
Oh,
I
I always
also a less
wanted
than
one.
perfect driver, but
Hence the couple of them.
yeah.
Okay. One had to replace the other.
And then I had a car for like about 15 years, and I barely drove. Because I live in 606,
Right.
so I don't need to. Worked from home, and it was all good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any hypothetical stories, hypothetical issues you've had to deal with right off the bat? Or
What do you guys want to know?
Terrible things.
Terrible.
I want to know all of the terrible things because I know the things that I have to deal with. You have some things that you deal with that,
Yeah.
other people in the transaction probably don't want to know about or don't need to know about.
right, I'm sure there's a lot that actually happens behind the scenes that we don't know about as
Yeah.
agents and lenders.
Yeah, I will say that there is definitely a lot of behind the scenes work, and sometimes it never comes out, which means that I'm actually doing my job. So when nobody needs to actually bring it and fight over it, then that actually that I think that's a success. I would say some issues that I've maybe hypothetically came across in the past.
Maybe.
I mean, Chicago is an interesting place for real estate sometimes when you're dealing with like violations and landlord tenant and some of that. So yeah, I mean, it's not a huge part of my business, but I do some eviction things, and that has probably been where I've seen some interesting scenarios, specifically in court, because the unfortunate thing is that right now when you're in court, especially in eviction court, it's not as proper as it used to be. So
Is it virtual still?
it's still virtual. So sometimes you have your pro se litigants, which are basically people that are coming into court representing themselves. laying in bed.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I get a little jealous because I put on a nice suit jacket and sit in front of my computer.
Do you Winnie the Pooh
Yeah,
it?
I do a little bit.
Wow.
I mean, I wear pants, but
No, you.
but they're like leggings.
Yeah,
like,
they're not professional pants.
sometimes they're just like legging shorts,
Is what it is.
which is very Winnie the Pooh-ish.
It's still professional from waist up.
Exactly. That's put a blanket on.
At least you got out of bed, okay?
I'm out of
That's
bed.
what counts.
Yep. Yeah. So court has been an interesting situation after the pandemic because it hasn't really gone back to normal yet. Some other counties have, like DuPage, that I think does a little bit more in person, but Cook County is still via Zoom.
What's the worst thing that has appeared on a Zoom screen that you've seen?
This podcast, by the way, is rated R.
Well, it didn't have anything to do with court. That was a different time where I was in like a networking group, and someone had just forgot to turn their screen off, and
She's blushing.
They were using the restroom.
Oh, no.
Oh,
So, I mean,
Oh.
I feel like now people, or at least like the hosts of the Zoom meetings, will take control in those situations now and be like, no, we're going to turn your screen off for you. But this was like way in the beginning. And so that was it.
would
But
nobody know
Was
how to
their
use
door
them?
open or they like brought it into
they
the
like brought
bathroom?
it into the bathroom with them. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, note to
that's-
self,
that's their
never
own
do
fault.
that.
How? You know you're on camera.
Yeah, maybe
I've
you
never
think you
understood
turn it
that.
off. I don't know.
But it still shows you. Like when you turn your camera off,
Yeah.
it takes your picture away. So if you are still able to see yourself, your camera's
Oh yeah,
not off.
true. Technology.
I don't
you know.
trust technology.
Yeah.
Like I'll leave my phone outside the bathroom sometimes when if I go take a shower. I'm like, nope. Don't care.
Don't even bring it in with you.
Don't even bring it in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I did see that there was like some sort of snap that your phone takes a picture of you every 5 seconds.
Excuse
or
me?
something. Yeah.
Well, who? What?
Yeah. That I was reading somewhere, and it was like a whole thing of like where your phone is actually snapping pictures of you.
And sending them to who?
No one. It's just like for your own phone's memory for like facial recognition, stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, we allow a lot of things with this phone without even knowing.
Without
I
even,
mean,
I know.
I know they're always listening, always recording.
Yeah.
And the
My-
amount of apps that you just like scroll through and you don't read their permissions and you just accept. And
Yeah.
Everything we say is being recorded. It's fine. I know just randomly I'll just be sitting in my living room working and I'll just see because I have an Amazon Cube.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just see the light just do this. I'm like, you were listening to me.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Or how about like when you're scrolling through things and then you like all of a sudden get targeted ads?
An
and you're like,
ad
"I
for
need
something you
that."
talked about yesterday.
Those are the
Yeah, I need
creepiest.
that, and now I just spent money that I didn't need to.
Yeah. I don't know how they're so good at it.
It worked.
Because
Now-
they're listening.
Coming from an attorney, is any of this legal?
You know what? That's not the type of law I practice. We hope so, but
I feel like we agree to it,
Yeah,
though. Whatever
I mean-
is recording us or listening, Facebook, whatever, like when they ask us, here's our blah, 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 do you agree? We all hit yes.
I'm going to start forwarding it to an attorney.
Not
great.
Melissa.
I'm gonna be like, you know what?
Here
Let
are
me
my
give you
terms
a
and
great
conditions.
referral.
Should I click yes?
Well, you briefly touched on maybe things that people ask for in their estate planning that are unusual. I'd be interested in exploring that topic if you can.
Estate planning can get a little bit intense, right? Because it's definitely hard subjects to talk about, and like you're literally have to think about what you want after you pass away, and hope that whatever you're conveying is actually going to happen. So, so that can get a little interesting because there's sometimes emotions, and then like if there's family involved, whether it's just a mixed family, sometimes it's spouses, kids, husbands, wives, ex-wives, ex-husbands, things like that. So things can definitely get interesting. But that's the whole point of actually putting a plan together, trying to come up with what you actually want to see after. I mean, it's part of the whole process, right?
Right.
It's like if you had a choice, what would you like to see with your remains? So there's, some people want to be cremated, some people want to be buried, some people want like the religious aspect of it, some people want nothing to do with any of that. Some people would like to be, planted, maybe buried in their backyard. No.
I'm waiting
When
for
you
that
say planted,
Yeah.
one. To become a tree.
how does one become a
So
tree?
there's services that will put it together. So if you wanted to become a tree,
You become
do that.
nutrients for
How-
a tree.
nutrients for a tree for like the
Thank
whole
you.
planting process.
Thank you.
I'm like,
Yeah, thank
wait,
you, Jamie.
what? So, okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean, do they blend you up and put you near the roots, or?
I don't know how the process works, to be honest, but I mean, there's a way to do it.
To become a tree.
Yeah. I think it's more of the whole planning for being a part of like the environment, right? Like
Yeah, you're
being
giving
absorbed.
back.
Yeah, giving back.
You're not
exactly.
just going into a stone casket above
Yeah.
land so you don't wash away into the abyss.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
It's like donating your body to science.
Nope. Put me in the ground.
It's a way to become, what is it that you wanted to become?
Invisible.
Invisible.
Oh.
But still contribute to society.
Nope. I think it'd be a little weird if that tree over there. Yeah, that tree over there's John. Can I have a John apple? I mean, it's weird. No.
I never thought about it if it's a fruit tree.
Yeah, no, it's
But
gross.
that tree's going to have so much nutrients that
Yeah.
I bet that's good fruit.
I will let you eat the John fruit.
Okay.
I don't know why I decided on John, but
I don't know either.
it's a very neutral name.
I would like to know, though, about being buried in the backyard, if that's a thing. Like, if it is actually legal.
Okay, we're going to follow up with you on
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Maybe I should look that
You, but you're the estate planner.
Is there an Illinois statute
You need
on
to
that?
add that so when you have like you're asking your questionnaire of people, what do you want to do with your body when
Yeah.
you die? You can just add that, like be buried in your parents' backyard or whatever.
How do you sell a house with that, though, Jamie?
We talked about this last time.
Yeah,
You
we
can't
have.
bring grandma with you, so grandma's staying in the
She's staying
backyard.
there.
Jamie
Yeah.
has never seen Poltergeist, so she doesn't know how bad this can go.
Has there been ghosts? Have you guys talked about
Oh, I have one kind of ghosty story.
You have a ghost story?
this? Okay, I like these.
Please, do tell.
Please share.
Okay, so this was several years ago. We were touring single family homes, and I walk into a house with a buyer, and we just get a weird vibe. It's totally empty, vacant, no furniture, and it was on lockbox. So it's just the two of us. And we walk in, and the layout's weird, and there's all these like closets and doors in weird places, and we were just like, okay, it's strange, whatever, but we keep going. We walk through the whole main level, and then we go up to the attic, and I'm literally getting like goosebumps thinking about this. We walk up there, and we both just get this feeling of like, we should not be here.
Wow.
Like, there is energy in this space that we are not welcome here. And we just look at each other, both having this feeling, and are like, we should go. And she's like, yeah, let's go right now. And we just booked it out of that house.
Did you look up the history?
No, I didn't. I don't even remember what the address is now to look it up.
What area was it?
I don't remember.
Oh, man.
Was
But
it anywhere near Des Plaines?
no.
Oh, okay.
It was in the city, but oh my God. Even the feedback I left for the agent, I was like, that house is haunted.
There's a ghost in this house.
We were not welcome in that house.
Maybe it was just not the right buyer.
Maybe, I mean, maybe,
The ghost
but
didn't like the buyer.
maybe, but something happened in that attic. Like, it was a finished attic.
Ooh.
And I was like,
It's bodies in the wall.
I have goosebumps.
I'm a little afraid.
I know. Do you believe in ghosts?
Or
Or like paranormal activity?
I would say like I do think of like energy, right? Like feeling somebody's energy, and like even though maybe their physical body has left the earth, I definitely think that there's energy that still like flows through us, is with us. You know, like sometimes a song plays or you get like a energy, you're like, oh, like that's that's familiar. That's too familiar, or that's somebody's energy, or there's somebody's with me, and you know, like I don't know. Sometimes like when I'm sleeping.
Oh.
Nobody got sad. Isn't there like a ghostly hour or a nightly hour of like
the witching hour.
the witching hour? Yes.
But I've never experienced that. I've never been laying in bed and be like, oh, I feel like someone's here with me.
I felt
watching
that
me. Whoa.
for sure. I also like to like wake up. And I mean, I don't like to wake up. I naturally wake up usually at like 1 or 2 in the morning.
You're like, what's up, ghost?
Yeah. Like, oh, hey.
And it's not creepy. It's like comforting.
No, sometimes it's comforting. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, maybe I'm not alone.
Oh
No,
my
that's-
God.
that's a little
nope,
creepy.
Nope.
Sometimes I talk to them.
Oh. Like,
You're a
hey,
medium.
we're cool. Don't fuck with me. We're good.
No, so the house that I live in now, it's a 2-flat, and it's got like an old part of the house, and then it's got like a new part of the house because there was definitely like an addition.
There's spirits in there.
In that old part,
And
definitely.
the old part, because I was also like, how did like anybody actually live here without this addition, right? Because like it would be tiny with it's small now. Like without the addition, it would be like extra small. So anyway, sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe it's somebody I know. Maybe it's just somebody who like liked it here and didn't want to go.
I mean, they're nice to you. That's all that really
I
matters.
take care of that house, so yeah.
Do I want to feel them while I sleep? No.
I'm not gonna lie. I would put my house on the market
Yeah, right away.
quickly.
We do not have to disclose haunted houses here, right? I don't think we do.
No, I think, you know what, I'd have to double check on that, but I do think that there's something that if you get asked, maybe that's not an Illinois rule, but if you get asked if somebody passed away in the house, you then have to disclose it?
I don't think we do in Illinois.
Okay, so maybe that's in California.
Yeah.
That's like an old law book
Yeah.
type of scenario
I
that's
feel
running
like
through
I-
my head.
I
So-
remember that in real estate school.
If I, as a buyer, I'm going to add this to my list. I'm going to ask on every house I go into. Did someone pass away in this house? What would you say as the listing agent?
Oh, I would say
If you knew.
Oh, if I knew.
Yes. Murdered. Cold blood. Kitchen.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Murdered. If I knew someone was murdered in the kitchen, I would have to practice a response because I would never want to be caught off guard.
Yeah.
With that. Like, that's something you figure out what you're going to say and how you're going to say it.
Or also just kindly ask your sellers not to actually give you that information. if
Yeah,
you don't
actually,
need it.
Plausible
I was just
deniability.
thinking that of like,
I mean-
yeah, there's some things we just shouldn't know
Yeah.
as agents, and there's a lot of things I'm sure sellers don't tell us as agents, but like that's one where it's like, you know, maybe they start talking, and then you're like, I'm gonna cut you off right there.
And lucky for us, that's not a question on the disclosures. So,
Right.
so it doesn't actually need to be disclosed up front.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I'm really going to ask now from moving forward.
No one's gonna know though.
What if they did
Like,
it?
there's so much history that we don't know about places.
If the current seller's been there for a while and they know, you know, like oh God, who was it? Was it Gacy? Was it in Des
Yeah.
Plaines?
I mean, well,
He was in Des Plaines.
Well, I think it was Des Plaines,
No,
wasn't it? Or was it not
think
Gacy?
that
Or was it
was,
Dahmer? It was one of those guys.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
one
yeah.
of those
Google
massive
it.
killers was it? Let's see. Chicago witch
but I feel like that's also different too because that's like such high media that
Killer
if you
was
actually just go online
in
and check it out, you might be able to find out.
Des Plaines.
Right, and that's a difference too. If you have like a famous murder.
It was Gacy.
In Displays.
Yep. John Wayne Gacy. But didn't that house, and maybe I'm making this up, didn't that house get demolished recently and rebuilt? Because it was on the market at some point.
I think so.
Recently?
Yeah.
Within the last some number of years.
And nobody bought it.
No, somebody
So-
bought it, didn't they? Didn't they buy it and tear it down? Or did they tear it down and rebuild it, then sell it? Because it was on the market.
Well, somebody would have done that, right? To buy it.
Depends on the person. There's some weirdos out there.
True.
That's true. Yep, weirdos.
Yeah, I mean, maybe somebody would be into, somebody was murdered here? Awesome. Above asking. Let's go.
Yeah, like some people like the paranormal
And then
activity.
they'd have the little triangle thing on the floor and candles, and all of a sudden the building is floating or something, you know. You guys hear that, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just making
Terrence
sure.
is like, there's a ghost here
I'm
now
done.
playing piano right now.
I am going to stop talking about ghosts and little circle candle things and Ouija boards. Thank you. And Well, God, what are those devil circles? Never mind. I'm done.
Oh, where they can talk
Like
to you.
this- yeah.
Spirits can
Oh,
talk
that's
to
a
you.
Ouija board.
Oh, the Ouija board. Yeah, yeah.
And they play music like this, and then all this.
Oh, it's the church bells.
Okay.
I thought you were like actually playing this.
See?
All right, maybe we should go on to the next topic.
Subject change. We apologize to all the paranormal
But
that
like,
are
do you
listening.
see what I mean about like the energy, or you're like, oh, we're talking about this. Hi, maybe there's somebody listening.
Clearly,
It's just
this
energy.
is their interest music.
Yeah.
Or it's just 3:00.
Yeah,
And that's when
that's
the
it.
church bells go off.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
All right. So do you have a weird request that's ever
That you can disclose,
been
hypothetically speaking, of course.
Like requests as far as paranormal activity, or just anything.
like in an
I've never had a weird paranormal activity.
no, in like an
request.
estate plan or like
Or an attorney review on
Or
a
an
purchase.
No, I mean, you know what? I really do feel like what I had said earlier walking in, it gave me a little bit of an appreciation of how agents deal with a lot of the day-to-day work, and I kind of get to sit behind my computer and
not
and just see it all come in, and I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah.
do you remember
Oh,
that two
yeah.
flat that sold 3 times?
You sold it 3 times.
3 times. I had a seller and they were selling a 2 flat. And it was this whole hullabaloo. We had to sell it 3 times because of zoning issues. It was a clearly residential property that was zoned for commercial. So that was a whole issue in itself. But the first time I ever walked into that house with the seller, the first floor tenants had built a wall in the middle of the living room and added their own bedroom.
Oh wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we walk in and she is like up in arms. She's very frustrated and I don't understand what's going on. It's like we just walked into a hallway.
Yeah.
And then they start talking in Spanish and then she turns to me and she's like, this isn't supposed to be here. Like they built this wall. And I was like, oh my God.
How long were they there for? A while.
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
Oh, I'd be pissed.
And it was one where there's like the separate living room and dining room. So they had made the dining room their living room, and they had turned the living room into a bedroom.
Okay. Yeah.
And same place, we go upstairs and
Different tenants or same tenants?
different tenants.
Okay.
So same building, different tenants. And it's an elderly couple. They clearly have been there for a very long time. They have a lot of stuff everywhere, like, you know, on the walls, there's cabinets and shelves and chairs and couches and piles of papers. And so we walk through and then we get to the 3rd bedroom and it's completely empty. Nothing.
Okay.
Not even artwork. It's painted blue. Otherwise, not a single thing in this room. And I'm like, what the actual hell? Like, this is so weird. This apartment has so much stuff. Then there's one room with nothing in it. So I walk back out into the kitchen and I see a little cage with 2 pigeons sitting in it.
Oh.
And I quickly realized that they let their pet pigeons fly around in this room.
They have a pigeon bedroom.
They have pigeon bedroom.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they just, you think they just get free reign in that room, close the door, and just.
That's
Did you
was my best guess.
see pigeon poop?
I didn't. They kept it clean.
Maybe they just cleaned it up. That's why they were in the kitchen in the cages, because they had to clean the room, and then they were going to put them back.
I have no idea where they lived. I mean, the cage was literally it was very clearly a pigeon cage. Like, it had the straw on the bottom. It
But
had
the pigeons were
food.
in there.
But the pigeons were in there. There's 2 pigeons. I hate pigeons. I think they are
The
disgusting.
rats of the sky.
Rats of the sky, diseased little fuckers. Do not touch me. Like, I went to Italy to the square. Do you know?
Yes, I
Oh,
know what you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Where they let the pigeons sit on you, and I was like, "Fuck no, I'm not doing that."
I mean, you could do that at Daily Plaza
That's true.
if you bring enough food.
Absolutely not. And these pigeons did not look healthy or happy, but that's beyond the point. They had a pigeon room. That's my other bird story for you, Terrence.
Wow. And this is in the same building
Same building.
that they had the wall built. Mm-hmm. Okay. And
And you know what? We got multiple offers on this building 3 times in a row.
Wow. So you sold it 3 times.
3 times.
Why?
I think maybe it was twice. Why?
Yeah.
Because of the zoning. The first time it was zoned commercial and the loan couldn't handle it. So we had to get it like rezoned, I think.
Lender issues.
Lender
you-
issue.
I have come to realize that, yes, everything is our fault. I am.
Fucking lender.
It's always our fault.
It's ruining everything.
I just like how the lenders sometimes tell me what to do, and I'm like, I have no choice. This is the money. So, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client, what would you like to do?
Yep. It's like, guys, I'm sorry, the property is owned commercial. Come on, Terrence. What's wrong with you? I'm like, it's not my fault. Yes, it is. It's always our fault. I have one right now that I just found out that the condo may be non-warrantable.
Oof.
Yeah. So it's not the reserve contribution that's the issue, because you know the 10% rule.
Yes.
It is the insurance deductible.
Oh, that's a new one. So for everyone listening, if you live in a condo building,
If there is not enough in reserves anywhere in the operating budget to cover an insurance deductible without a special assessment, non-warrantable.
Oh, wow. That's good to know.
interesting.
So, they'd have to basically reduce their deductible, increase their premium.
Or find some more money.
Or increase your assessments.
Yeah.
Honestly, there should be a like class that people have to take when they move into a condo building of how do you run a fucking association.
Well, the self-managed ones, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not enough communication amongst industries, because if all associations knew about all of the guidelines,
Yes.
they can make adjustments. Now,
Right,
yeah.
there are ways around some of these. For example, and this is only for a full condo review. For a limited review, we don't look at that. So if the client puts 10% down, it's a limited review.
Oh, and that depends on the down payment.
Yes. Limited review, the financials aren't as heavily scrutinized.
Which is like, I mean, fair, but I still think there needs to be more education. Like, there's so many people who, they're first time home buyers that are moving into a 3-unit building. And why would they know how to properly run an association or a budget? And they have no reason to.
They're just very excited that
you
the
know-
HOA dues are $150 a month.
Yeah.
And they pay for literally nothing.
And you can't blame people. They don't know what they don't know. It's
Right.
not their fault until they get into a situation where then they want to sell. And it's like, oh, well, this could affect.
Or when they would like to then sue their association, right? Which is like a catch-22 because you're part of the association. So it's like you're kind of, you make up the association.
are the
as a
association.
And as unit owner. So actually bringing a lawsuit against the association is going to affect you regardless, right?
I've heard of very little litigation. What's a wild case in which someone would sue their association?
Not necessarily wild, but like I would say the most common would be when there's a non-contributing unit owner. So like either they're refusing to pay the increased assessment amount or they're refusing to pay assessments altogether, right? And then the association basically has to collect on their unpaid assessments. They can force an eviction,
Yeah.
like things like that. So I think that like the overall control that the association has, I mean, it's great, right, to have a condo association and kind of have everything done, but and then it becomes that like happy medium. If you are going to be in an association, is everybody else going to play fair too, to be able to kind of guide that association the right way? And or is our management company involved? It's like at least giving guidelines, so it's not just a 3-unit building with 3 different owners trying to all call the shots, which
Yeah.
is more common than you would think.
Oh, yeah. I'm not surprised by that at all, actually.
And it keeps the cost down for sure of like self-managed and not having a management company actually doing the work. But I would say altogether, like then that becomes the burden of the actual homeowners and unit
Right.
owners.
And they have to care enough, to actually,
That's true.
like,
Yeah. To properly manage. And then having people on the same page, right? Is like one person might think that, I don't know, a balcony repair is necessary for all unit balconies, and the other person might think, no, my balcony's fine.
Right.
Like what's fine to you may not be fine to the next person because it's not falling over or not in code or anymore. Whatever the case
Right.
may be is not the same as your neighbors. So it's kind of like actually getting on the same page and having those votes come in.
Right. Or like, don't fix it if it's not broken
Yeah.
mentality,
Right.
even though like it needs to be fixed.
Right.
Because it's probably be cheaper now to fix it than
Then
later
live with
when it
yeah.
actually
Replace
breaks.
it. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So about this trip to Greece,
I love to travel. Absolutely love it.
when is this going to happen?
I would actually love to go to Greece in September or October of this year.
Of this year? Okay. And this is going to be after the trip to Mexico.
I am. Yeah. Yes. The trip to Mexico is just going to be a quick 6 days. And
A quick,
A quick 5 or 6
days.
days.
I mean, we need some sunshine at this point.
So Greece is going to be weeks long.
Greece might be, it has to be at least a couple weeks, right? Like,
I think so. If you're going that far.
Yeah. By the time you get there, you want to move around a little bit, see the islands.
That's true.
I would also love to just like be on a like a yacht.
Oh,
There you go. That's my boating.
okay. Yep.
You know, just cruise around to the different islands, get off, look around, check it all out, and then go to the next one. I've never been to Greece. I don't know. I don't even know what to expect.
How many countries have you been to?
I don't know offhand. That's a very good question.
Wow. I do what I can.
Do you know how many countries you've been to?
Yeah.
Of course. How many?
3.
Oh, okay. What are they?
Here. Mm-hmm. 1. Mexico.
Okay.
Jamaica.
Interesting third for
Yeah.
United States and Mexico. And then Jamaica.
Jamaica.
You must like some beach.
I like tropical.
Yeah,
tropical
yeah.
beachy
Yeah,
weather.
I like
that too.
I don't-
for sure.
Vacation to me is not cold. Going into a mountain, that's not a vacation to me.
Yeah,
There's a designation or a differentiation between vacation and trip for me.
yeah. I'm like, if there's water in a boat,
Vacation.
It's a vacation. If I have to do things, it's a trip.
oh, I like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Like to me, if I'm, and it's not just because of the sun.
Because you're like moving around and walking.
Yeah, like if I'm hiking or if I'm climbing something.
Okay, so
or,
I actually like those trips, vacations.
Yeah, so do I.
I like to like move around, do things.
Right. Do your Wait, so when you're talking about trip versus vacation, so these words are not interchangeable to
No.
you. Trip has the more negative connotation in your.
I mean, if one has to be positive, one has to be negative. Yeah,
They're just like different
They're
experiences.
just
they're
different
different
experiences,
experiences. Yes. I mean, I will take a trip to go hiking in the Swiss Alps.
Yeah,
It's not a vacation.
that's a trip.
That's a trip.
Okay.
If I
Okay.
am laying on the Greek Isles,
Yeah.
it's a vacation.
Okay.
Okay, I'm actually kind of into this distinction.
Yeah, I like that too.
I am a stern believer in this.
That's how I feel like whenever I go home to New Mexico and people are like, have fun on your vacation, or like, how was your vacation? And I'm like, that was not a vacation.
It doesn't count.
It
Yeah.
does not.
So that was a trip.
You took
that
a trip
was a
home.
trip.
Okay, but
I went out of town.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did
Yes.
not go on vacation.
Like, big difference.
But let me ask you this then. If you have to work while you're on this vacation, is it still vacation?
Yes, because when am I not working?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm still on vacation.
Exactly.
But would you, yeah, I would rather be on my computer beside a pool
Facts.
than on my computer here where it's
Yeah.
disgusting,
Yeah.
slushy, frozen.
and we haven't seen sun in
Bullshit.
like 6 days.
Agreed.
Wait, the sun was out yesterday.
It was cold.
I was in my office.
It was cold
I didn't see anything.
and icy.
It doesn't count. It doesn't
But
count.
yes, if I am poolside, beachside, with tropical banjo mariachi violins playing over there, And
It's a vacation.
That's a vacation. Like, who goes to Alaska on vacation? I know people that have taken
People
Alaskan cruises, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's.
In the summer, I'm sure it's
Like, why?
beautiful. It's probably very green.
Is it?
I have no idea.
I have no
I
idea
would
either.
think so.
I've never researched
think of,
Alaska.
like,
I just
how
know that it's
much-
cold.
Winter they get. There's just
No summer.
Do they get summer?
Dude, I have
well,
no
no.
idea.
Isn't there some places that just don't see any sunlight
Yeah,
For
so
days
why
on
would it
end.
be green?
But there's also
because
the
of
same
the snow,
places.
right? Like or like the precipitation.
Precipitative? Isn't that the same place, though, that at some point during the year they get 24 hours of sun?
Yeah,
I guess
right.
if
Because
you're
they're
that
so far
north.
up north. Yeah. Like I thought that was cool. Once
I
Is
would
that
do that.
Alaska or Antarctica?
I thought it was
I
Alaska.
think there's a place in Alaska for that.
I have no
Oh,
idea.
maybe that is Antarctica.
I think it's Antarctica.
I have no idea. Somewhere, all right? Somewhere
Pretty
chilly.
sure it's Antarctica. but
Geography.
I can fact check that for us.
Please, we need to look this one up. I got you. Who has 24-hour sun? Norway, Sweden,
Okay.
Canada.
Oh, not Alaska.
Keep going.
No, that's it. That's the only.
There's no Antarctica?
Let me see. 24-hour daylight occurs for several months over summer, while in winter there is complete darkness for several months. This is the Australian Antarctic. I have no idea what I'm looking at right now. So to answer the question, yeah, way up there, way down there. Well, it says the Arctic Circle, so it's Antarctica at the poles.
All right. Should we get back to Chicago?
Fine.
No, because it's February here.
I know, right? Like, I don't want to talk about
Or-
Chicago.
What is it? What month are we in? It's just winter.
It's winter.
It just feels like
It's
February
cold and it's
all
miserable,
winter.
so we're thinking about the Greek Isles and also Mexico.
Yeah, summertime.
Chicago summertime, though.
Oh,
We.
We suffer through this so that we can take in the summertime.
Yep.
Both months of it.
Yep.
both.
Yep. That's why it's the best city in the world in the summertime. We cram months and months worth of
Yeah.
stuff into 2 months.
I have a question for either of you,
I'm ready.
because you're both landlords, right?
Yes.
Got any interesting tenant stories?
Yes. So I'll tell you about my cat lady. I'm adding this to the list of reasons why I hate cats. So one day, thankfully, this was in the summer, I was awakened by the sound of rain from my bathroom.
Ooh.
I didn't realize I was asleep. It was the witching hour. So I was awakened to
Someone put a spell on you.
to rain. I woke up and I said, "Oh, let me go close the window." And I'm like, "Wait, the window's over there. Rain's coming from over here." So I go to the bathroom and I'm about to flip the switch and I'm like, "This is water."
Oh
So I'm like, I'm half asleep. I turned the switch on anyway. I'm like, all right, what the hell? So I see there's water coming out of the light into my bathroom. So I'm like, all right, let me just turn the switch off. I'm fully awake now. So I put on pants and shirt and I grab my keys and I run upstairs. I start banging on the door and she answers the door as calm as can be. Good morning.
What time is it?
The witching hour. It's like 3 something in the morning.
Great. Good morning.
And so I'm like, ma'am, who your name is, I'm not going to say her name. Not that it really matters. But what the hell? Why is it raining in my bathroom? She says, oh, I don't know. I'm like, okay, I'm just letting you know. I'm coming in. Move. So I walk into her bathroom and I notice that the toilet is running.
Oh no.
So I turn the water off and I look into the toilet. I'm like, all right, what am I going to see in this toilet? Not what you'd expect, but you can probably you figure out where this is going. So inside the toilet, it's just covered in gray. I'm like,
Was she flushing her cat litter?
she flushed cat litter down the toilet and just let it run. There was water, by the way, there was water in the bathroom, on the floor, in the hallway, into the kitchen. So I'm like, your name? Grab me some towels, put them on the floor. So I go down to my place, I grab a mop, I grab some towels, and I just start throwing them all over the place in my bathroom. I go upstairs, throw them all over the place in her bathroom. And I'm like, all right, what happened? She's like, well, I needed somewhere to put the kitty litter. I'm like, why in the holy fuck would you put them in the toilet? I also put some in the tub. I look in the tub, the drain of the tub also had kitty litter.
Wait, but why?
They do advertise some cat litter as like flushable, but even then, like you shouldn't put anything in your toilet.
There's something wrong with this lady.
So I don't have cats, but how do you like what's the proper way to dispose of this?
Garbage.
You like they make little bags just like they do for
dogs.
and you just scoop it into a bag and throw
Take
it
it
away.
You don't flush it. Not all poop goes down the toilet.
Or in a bathtub. I don't
none should go
understand.
Well,
Like,
Jamie Book, once the toilet is full, where the hell else are you going to put
so
it?
how long has she been flushing her cat litter? Was this just a one-time thing? Was this a new cat? Like,
This was not I mean, I have no idea. I don't know if she did it before and maybe she just flushed one clump and it just happened to go. And this time she was like, fuck it, let me pour the entire thing down there. I have no idea. But I made a quick phone call to my handyman. I waited until like 6.
That was nice of you.
Yes, I was pissed. I give him a call. I'm like, hey, when you wake up, now that I've just woken you up, do me a favor. Can you come over? I have a small plumbing issue. Bring your rod, bring gloves. We got some stuff to do. So he came over and we rotted out the toilet. I'm holding a bag. He has a glove on. He's rodding, scooping, pulling. And eventually the water said, and it went down. And
rotting, scooping, pulling.
yeah, it was gross. I have no idea what was cat poop. It was all just together. But we got it all cleaned out. It worked. She and I had a
Okay, to
conversation.
be fair, this is not the cat's fault. This is the cat owner's fault.
Very true.
So this should not increase.
No. Which one of the two pooped?
Everyone poops, Terrence.
Exactly. The cat pooped. The poop went in the toilet. It clogged my toilet. Cat's fault.
The cat didn't put her poop in the toilet, though.
Okay, I should have told this woman not to put my poop in the toilet. So she didn't last very long.
Okay. Rightfully so.
Melissa, I have a question for you as far as tenants go. What is your opinion on if something happens or goes wrong and giving the tenants $100 off rent or something of that nature?
I mean, that could come into play, right? If like they actually paid for it and showed you a receipt, and you agreed to then reduce their rent by the amount of the receipt. If you want to be a landlord in good faith and just say, oh, we're going to give you $100 off for an inconvenience, great. But I feel like that kind of sets a precedent, right? That you're then going to continue to do that, and then you might get a little bit more complaints than you might actually need because you're giving $100 for a complaint rather than for a repair. So
I had a client who has renters call me last week and her heat went out. And the tenants didn't tell her for 2 days and then call her, and then she fixes it, and it's like, it takes time because it's also the coldest week of the year in Chicago. I'm sure everyone's having heat issues, and immediately off the bat they asked for a rent reduction. And then it took a week to fix, and she was like, oh, I feel bad, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't.
They waited 2 days.
Yeah, that was kind of her thing. And then it took another couple days to actually fix it.
Not her fault.
I know.
I mean, again, it's not the tenant's fault that it broke. It's not her fault that it broke. It's their fault that they waited 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, why are they asking for a reduction? Just because?
Because of the inconvenience.
Yeah. I mean, if they had to ask for a reduction because they couldn't sleep there and it was too cold and had to go get a hotel room or something like that, that would, I think, be a different story. And there'd be a little bit more almost like liability on that part, right? But I don't know.
That's what I told her.
Reduction for inconvenience is a slippery slope, in my opinion.
So this was the first time they'd ever asked for anything. They've been living there for almost a year. And she called me the second that they told her. And I was like, I'm not an attorney, girl, but I would say overnight them some heater, get them some heaters as fast as you can.
We want to make sure that it's still habitable for sure.
And I said exactly what you said. I was like, they're not staying in a hotel, so you don't need to compensate for that. So that was interesting. But I do have another friend who her garden unit flooded, had a small flood, not totally flooded. And so she did give them a little bit of rent off. I don't know how much. And since then, so many things are magically going wrong. The dryer stopped working. She had a handyman go out and fix it, and it was an airflow issue. So there was there was a clogged lint somewhere, Someone had pulled the vent off, stuffed it full of insulation, and put the vent back on. So it was intentionally clogged.
Oh,
The tenant did this.
possibly,
We're
or some money.
assuming-
Yeah.
Where was is this a like common area or is this in unit?
That's also very dangerous, though.
Yes.
It's super dangerous.
Yeah. Like, isn't that what can create carbon monoxide?
Yeah, or
that or a fire.
a fire.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
I
it's
know
your
they're
dryer.
fire retardant, but still.
Yeah. So it's a 3 flat, and it's the laundry's not in the unit, but it's there. The garden unit's the only one that uses it.
So they did it. Okay.
And then that, I think, goes into the whole details of like the interesting pieces of Chicago, where it's like, we have a lot of these buildings that we see that are not a legal garden unit, or the top unit's not legal, but people are still renting them
there.
out. And then it becomes a thing of the landlord tenant disputes, where then maybe they make a phone call to the city, and all of a sudden you've got violations on the property and having to defend cases of violations because the illegal unit is now let a city inspector in or called for a city inspection.
So
without
if
your
that
actual
happens, as
knowledge.
an attorney,
Yeah, I have
if that
questions
happens
about
to
this.
landlords that have A2 with clearly an illegal third and it's rented, do the tenants have rights
Yeah,
because it's not a legal unit?
Well, if you're renting it as a landlord, I think you just have more liability. This tenants still have their landlord-tenant rights by the ordinance, but in my opinion, it would just be more liability on the landlord because of the fact that you're renting a unit that, isn't actually legal.
So what is then the liability? Like their insurance won't cover, or like
Yeah, like let's say there's a fire in your garden unit. Is it possible that if you claimed it on your homeowner's insurance, is your insurance actually going to pay out, right? Like things like that kind of get questionable. So I think there's more liability in the city. We see it happen all the time, and it's very, very common. And some of these garden units are like very, very nice. So, or you have your duplex down that
is that legal?
So there is not an actual zoning that gives you for a duplex, right? So it's like you can get
Right.
the permit. So if you do it properly, you
Okay.
should be going to the city of Chicago, get the permits, and actually getting the approval of the city to duplex down. But there's no specific zoning that actually allots for a duplex, right? It might say like approved or permit,
Sure.
applied for or whatever, but there's no like, usually it's just 1, 2, 3 units. That's it.
Yeah. Because I get that question a lot from investors of like, okay, there's an illegal unit or a non-conforming unit. Like, what does that mean? And I'm not an attorney, so I can't really say too much on it, but I'm like, God, I think 80% of buildings in Chicago have a
a lot of them have
non-conforming.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes that's like the make it or break it point of, does it actually make sense on
Financially.
the financial standpoint?
100%.
Because without that unit, you're probably not going to be cash flowing, or it's
Right.
going to cost you a whole lot more to purchase it. So and pay
Honestly, the cost
monthly.
of multi-units is insane here.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And then you get into that part where you're like, okay, we've got 1 to 4 units, which would still technically
Residential.
be residential. So it's a little bit easier to get a mortgage. Then once you get into that 5th unit, then it's like people still love that, right? But at the same time, then it creates this gap of the difference between being able to apply for residential and then going into commercial, which is sometimes harder.
It's a whole other ballgame.
It's
Yeah.
entirely different, and Terrence can speak more to that because
Yeah.
5 units and above, you have to put 20 or 25% down, right?
Yeah, and I don't
And you
mess
don't
with
even
I
do
don't
it.
mess with commercial.
Yeah.
But it is a huge difference because now they just came out with this product where you can put 5% down on a multi-unit up to 4.
And if you're, lucky enough to find a legal 4 that also has non-conforming units, I mean, you're up to 5 and 6 yourself,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
I have a client like that right now.
Do you?
So you're getting excited. That is exciting.
I mean, it's been a pain in the ass, but
To
Has it?
find it or
To make,
No.
I'm sure to make the financing work is challenging.
yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure it's weird. I mean, again, you shouldn't be doing it, but people do it.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of those situations where, like what we talked about earlier, there's things in these transactions that we don't know about that if we knew, it would probably kill it. Would kill it.
Yeah.
And people are smart. I mean, I've found out after the fact on a few occasions, I'm like, you just pulled one over on me, but I didn't know, so hey.
I mean, there's so many times I've gotten the question of, well, what happens? Does a bank actually come and check if I'm claiming it to be owner occupied?
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, it's your intent, which is hard to actually prove what your intent was at the time of the purchase. And that's the majority of mortgages reflect to intent, right? So it's just like, it's the actual verbiage of what the mortgage and the notes say when it comes to owner occupancy. But
And I tell people, like, don't do anything you're not supposed to.
yeah.
Like, if you tell me you're going to live there, then live there.
Then
Yeah.
you better
Live there.
move the fuck in.
Yeah.
Just move into the place.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's intent. I mean, life happens, right?
Yeah.
Stuff happens. Family situations happen 6 months after you buy it. And, okay, hey, I just bought this single family home, but I need to go buy a multi-unit because I got to move mom and dad in because whatever.
Right.
Stuff happens. All right, just write a letter. Like, life happens. Again, you intend to live there for a year.
Yeah.
But if you have to do something because of family, work, relocation, it happened a lot during COVID, then do it.
Yeah.
But just don't be a dick. Because you're going to get caught.
Or don't,
Sorry.
Yeah. Just don't do the illegal things.
Do you have any experience with professional tenants?
Oh, yeah.
What's a professional tenant?
An asshole. It's people that know the letter of the law and the codes as well as some attorneys do.
Yeah,
And
sometimes better, to be honest,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's like, the upkeep of the Cook County landlord tenant ordinance is like there's loopholes. And I would say that the section protecting landlords is a page where the section protecting tenants is the rest of the document pretty
Too
much.
long.
So when it comes to Cook County, specifically in Chicago, there's just multiple ways to drag out the whole process, especially when we're in the colder months, right, where there's not going to be an actual forcible eviction because of the fact that it's too cold. Like last week, right, there were likely no sheriffs going out and to actually monitor an eviction. So, yeah, I mean, it's a game, and it's a
So that's when people like move into a place, don't pay the rent,
maybe pay
and
like a
then-
month's rent, maybe 2 months, and then just kind of stop paying.
Right. Like you said, they'll move in like September, October, pay for November, and then not pay for December, January, February because good luck getting them out.
right?
Yeah.
And
And they'll
then
figure out something. You did something wrong, and oh, I have an attorney, and this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 blah. And then next thing you know, it's the following September, and you still haven't got any money.
yeah, and unfortunately, there's a lot of real crappy landlords out there where it's probably
Yeah, or they're not following, the landlords are not following what they actually need to do so that they're keeping themselves open to situations like that,
Sure.
right? So, like, a lot of times, too, tenants that are looking for that. I mean, I don't even want to point the finger on that, but, like, yeah, there are some landlords that probably make them more susceptible to a tenant like that because they're just long-term tenants and they still either think the best of people right?
Yeah.
without actually being up to date and up to code on the or up to the exact knowledge of the landlord tenant ordinance, and then all of a sudden they're being countersued or they're being put in a situation where they're now having to file for an eviction where it should have just been prevented to begin with. So yeah, it's kind of sad because, no, it's very sad because I have sympathy for landlords. I have sympathy for tenants,
Yeah.
right? There's certain situations where it is just difficult, but whenever anybody is taking advantage of somebody, it's not a good relationship.
right. Like nobody's perfect, but
Yeah.
at the same point, you do have a responsibility as a landlord, and you
Right.
also have a responsibility as a tenant,
Right.
And it goes both ways. Like landlords get attacked so much for being the scum of whatever, which I get
There are
because there
slumlords
are
out there.
There are, and there's really shitty people. On the flip side, there's also just terrible people who are terrible tenants
Yeah.
too. So it's not like one-sided.
Agreed. I hate it.
Yeah.
You can never be, I mean, you never know. You can do the best you can, vetting tenants, running credit, verifying income, verifying that you have money in the bank, and they're the worst person in the world.
Oh, yeah. I had an experience where one of my tenants stopped paying rent. She had bad credit. I thought she was like a for sure deal because she had guaranteed income. She was getting alimony and money from the state. Mm-hmm. And then the writer's strike happened and she stopped getting alimony. And I got lucky because she literally just called me and said, I can't pay rent. I'm moving out.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
That's good.
it could have gone another way where she just said, I can't pay rent.
Right.
And then you even call Melissa like,
And-
I need to evict a tenant.
Well, this was in New Mexico.
Can you
So-
do New Mexico?
No, I'm
Okay.
only
No.
licensed in Illinois.
But it's much, much easier to
so.
evict.
That's what I was going to ask. How
It's a
what
landlord-friendly state.
It is a landlord-friendly
Yeah.
state.
Knock on the door with a shotgun.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, if you go, you follow the procedure with the notice and blah, 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 then yeah,
Yeah, we
it's
can't
much
do that here.
easier
Quicker.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, much quicker. Yeah, maybe not easier, but quicker.
Nice.
I want to know a little bit about short-term rentals.
Okay.
What's your experience having both long-term and short-term rentals? Which do you prefer?
Ooh. That's a hard question because obviously there's more money in short-term rentals.
Okay. Do you feel like the investment's bigger?
Initial investment, yes.
Yeah.
Because you don't just have like a down payment. You also have to buy furniture and, a bunch of other stuff. And then short-term tenants also notice things a lot more that break,
Yeah.
which I feel like I'm a good landlord. Like if someone tells me it's broken, I'm going to fix it right away. But, a lot of times long-term tenants, like something maybe gets a little off. It doesn't bother them. So they don't care, whatever. They don't really mention it. And then you find out later when they move versus short-term tenants. It's like second something's gone, off. They're like, here it is, here it is, here it is.
Probably the expectation's a little bit higher, right?
Yes, it's more hotel.
Yeah, and because they are, when you break it down on a nightly rate, usually the short-term rental is paying more than the long-term rental.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I've had really great short-term rental experiences and really bad, and I've had great long-term rental experiences and not so great.
Yeah. Do you feel like the short-term is more hands-on?
Yeah, but I don't do it myself.
Okay.
I hire it out.
have
You
people
do
for
it
that.
yourself, right?
I don't do short-terms,
Oh,
but
who am I
I've
thinking that does?
I've wanted to, or I've considered going into the short-term rental space. But my thought with that is just the time consumption behind it, right? I'm a very hands-on person, so I like to do something first before I hire it out because I'm like, okay, this is how I would do it.
Yep.
So that I know how I would do it before I have somebody else do it, right? Because then regardless, you're still going to get a phone call and say, this happened and we got
Yeah.
to do this, or this is what I would do, right?
Well, so I was in a different situation where my sister was already doing short-term rentals and she approached me and was like, you should buy a place. Let's do short-term rental. So I was in a situation where I was like, oh, I already trust you. I know you do
Yeah.
this. I don't feel like I need to do
Be
it.
too involved.
Like if it ain't broke,
Yeah.
don't fix it. Like her process works, so you might
Her
as well just
process
adopt
works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've had our ups and downs and I've had my opinions on her process.
Do you think it's easier or harder working with family? Is she listening now?
it. She is. She's
She
listening.
will be. But I mean, this won't be a surprise. Like, everyone, I think it's hard with family. Well, okay, let me start over. I am a very straightforward person. Like, if you know me,
Oh, you are.
I say what I think. I try and say it lightly.
Yeah.
Like there was once in my life where I was just an asshole about it, and now I recognize this, and I try and be kind but I'm very honest.
Right.
And also with family, I'm very honest, and their business decisions, and when it's affecting my business, I'm very honest about it. And we went through a short period where I wasn't super happy as the client per se, and they just had a lot other things going on where they couldn't put the effort the business needed
Right.
for a number of other reasons, like and all legitimate reasons too. But it does become hard of like, I'm like, don't take this personally. It's not against you.
Right.
But I also have a business to run, and you know, she had a hard time not taking it personally. And I think that's just like a personality difference. So that got definitely hard.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it's another business and that's what they do, I can say that kind of stuff, and you know,
and it's taken different because
it's more professional.
Yeah, but it's also like then more of either an employee or a contract relationship than like a family relationship. I get that.
I mean, I will say the Airbnb business has not so much for me, but it's destroyed like other relationships in the family.
Ooh.
I mean, it's intense, right? Because I feel like you just going into business in general. When I think about the day-to-day stuff that I do as a business owner on a regular basis,
Yeah.
a lot of people have partners. I don't have a partner in business like that, right? Where I'm going to actually have to ask decision-making power, which is good sometimes, right? Because you're like, oh, great, I can kind of make all the decisions. And sometimes it's terrible because
Right, where you're
you're
like, I need someone else's opinion.
Who else do I talk to? And then you talk to other people about it, and anybody else can give you these opinions, but then at the same time you're like, yeah, but you don't know enough about it. Like, you're not in it with me, so I'll take your opinion, and I appreciate your opinion, but
I think you're wrong.
Yeah,
But you're not right. Sorry, this is my business. Back up.
Mark and I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Where I'm like venting to him and he's like, well, maybe you should do this. And I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
But it's good having another point of view for
Yes.
sure.
Well, that's not
Yeah.
a partnership. You're in charge there. Jamie Book, you wear the pants.
Oh, thank you.
I got you.
But yeah, I think going back to like the sibling piece of things, it's different too. It's interesting because, like, for example, my sister and I, we can fight, and then we just like move past it, and there's no like, oh, sorry about that. No, it's just
Really?
like we're over. Like we're done fighting. What are you doing tonight?
That's
Nice.
so funny. I'm the opposite because I'm not a fighter,
Yeah.
like in general. So
Yeah.
if I'm fighting with someone, it's like about something.
Yeah.
And so
You hold grudges?
It's not a grudge, but it is I'm not going to let you sweep this under the rug. I'm going to, like, I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. So let's just talk about it real quick, get it out there, get our feelings out, make up, and then move on. But I'm not a, like...
That's a very healthy approach, Jamie.
Oh, thank you. I, would
Don't
like
let
to
it
think
fester.
so.
No,
Yeah. Because then when you do like, you sweep it under the rug, that shit does fester and resentment builds.
And it
And
blows up sometimes.
at some point, right?
sometimes.
Or sometimes we just kind of accept that's how we are. and
Right,
then
that's your
I'm
relationship.
like, oh, she was in a mood that day, and I'll call my
Yeah.
mom and talk to her a little bit about it, and then carry on from there. And
Well, I
then-
think it also depends on the sort of things
Yes,
too, right?
yes,
like,
yes.
if I lived in close proximity to one of my sisters, like, yeah, we'd probably.
Yeah. Well, we
bicker a little more.
and we own property together, so that's like some of the things, and sometimes you just get accustomed to like this is not their role, right? This is what we're gonna do, and this is different. It's just different. So I don't know. I think with partnerships of any kind, it just becomes a whole new adventure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a fan. I don't like to share. Sorry, selfish.
Do you have siblings, Terrence?
I do.
Okay.
I have a younger sister. I'm still in charge. It's fine.
Do you own property together?
No. No,
I
no.
actually don't own property with any of my sisters. or
No,
family.
we would own separately. I would help. I would assist, but I don't want anything to do with it. Nope.
Do other people in your family call you all the time for real estate advice?
Now that I think about it, no. What the hell?
I'm sure you get
All
calls.
the time. Yeah. But you know what?
I need to
And
make some phone calls.
I think that's like where it kind of starts too, is it's usually family and friends. And,
Yeah.
people that you trust. That's how you tend to build your sphere. Mm-hmm. So
That
I don't
reminds me,
mind.
my dad's real estate agent owes me a call.
Oh.
Your dad's real estate agent.
In New Mexico.
Oh, and I was like, that's not you? Are
Right,
you referring
exactly.
to
I'm like, wait a
yourself?
minute now.
Yeah, I need to call myself. No, my dad calls me all the time and he's like, oh, my real estate agent said this. What do you think? Or my real estate agent told me to call you and ask what you think. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So your real estate agent has an opinion and she wants me to back her up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, maybe.
That makes sense. Because,
Maybe.
he trusts you more, I would assume.
I think now,
Probably not so much when you first started, but
yeah,
that makes sense.
I think it took time and even with this. I mean, this is the first time he's called me about it in a while. And then we talked and he was like, wow, you really do know what you're talking about. I was like, thanks, Dad.
Yep.
I would take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
You know,
That is a compliment for sure.
you earned his respect in the real estate industry,
That's
I guess.
Yeah.
Good for you, Jamie Book.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, do we have anything else you guys want to wrap up?
What?
What?
We've been recording for an hour and a half.
Let's go.
Oh.
Good deal.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Realty Chicago. And if you have a story you would like to share, want to be a guest, or have questions for any of us, please find us on Instagram at Realty Chicago on our subreddit, or send us an email. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and tell all your friends and family if you like what you hear, or if you like Terrence biceps.
Ooh. Ooh, I like it. I'll make sure they come front and center next time.
I think they're going to be well showcased in this video.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Thank you
being
for coming.
here.
Yeah. Good
This-
to see you both in the flesh.